The screen glowed mockingly in the dim light of our rented finca, the kind of old stone farmhouse tucked into the olive groves outside Kitty's that we'd impulsively chosen for our 6-month escape from New York winters. My thumb hovered over submit, heart pounding like I'd just confessed a sin. Gianna's the worst person I know, I typed into the anonymous quiz results, the words blurring through a haze of wine and resentment. It was supposed to be a joke, a petty vent after another fight about her endless work calls pulling her away from us, but as the page loaded with its viral badge, "You picked her, the toxic one," I felt the first crack in my chest, sharp and unforgiving. Giselle Harper, that's me, 28 and unraveling faster than the frayed edges of my favorite Levi's. I dragged Gianna Rossi here to western Spain, to the wild Atlantic coast where the wind howls like forgotten secrets and the sunsets paint the sky in bruised purples and golds. We were supposed to be rebuilding, mending the fractures from 2 years of her climbing the corporate ladder in finance while I scraped by as a freelance illustrator, sketching dreams that paid in compliments, not rent. But tonight, with the cicadas screaming outside and a half-empty bottle of Rioja on the scarred wooden table, that quiz had turned our fragile peace into a battlefield. I hit refresh, watching the share button pulse like a dare. Post it, the app taunted. My fingers trembled. Gianna was in the kitchen, humming some old Sinatra tune as she chopped tomatoes for gazpacho, her dark hair tied back in a loose knot, sleeves rolled up on that crisp button-down she never fully shed, even on vacation. She was 30, all sharp edges and soft curves, with olive skin that glowed under the Spanish sun and brown eyes that could disarm you with a single glance. We'd met at a rooftop party in Brooklyn, her laughing over cheap rose as she confessed her fear of heights, me spilling paint on her shoes and calling it fate. Now, here we were, exiles in paradise, and I was about to light the fuse. The post went live with a soft chime, invisible ripples spreading across the internet. I imagined it pinging through feeds in Madrid, Miami, maybe even back home to our mutual friends who still whispered about G&G's big adventure. My stomach twisted. What if she saw it? What if she didn't? I slammed the laptop shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the quiet room. "G.I.s? You okay in there?" Gianna's voice floated in, warm and oblivious, laced with that faint Italian lilt she'd inherited from her nonna. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a smile as I wandered into the kitchen. She turned, knife pausing mid-slice, her gaze flicking over me like she could read the storm clouds gathering. "Just scrolling. You know how it is." She nodded, but her eyes lingered, that intuitive pull we had, the one that made lovers out of strangers and kept us tethered through storms. We ate on the terrace that night, the sea crashing distant below the cliffs, stars pricking the velvet sky. Conversation danced around the edges, her latest deal closing remotely, my sketches of the local gypsy market selling for peanuts online. But under it all, my words festered like an open wound. By morning, the post had 200 likes, comments trickling in like venom. "Girl, run while you can, sounds like projection, check yourself." I deleted it at dawn, curled on the cool tile floor of the bathroom, phone clutched like a lifeline. Guilt clawed up my throat, hot and bitter. Why had I done it? Because she'd cancelled our hike to Gibraltar yesterday for another Zoom. Because every time she succeeded, I felt smaller, like my watercolor world was dissolving in her ink-black ambition. Or because deep down, I feared she was slipping away, her heart a vault I couldn't crack anymore. Gianna found me there, coffee mug in hand, her bare feet padding softly. "Hey, love. Rough night?" She knelt, brushing my hair back, her touch a balm that only made the ache worse. I wanted to confess, to spill it all and beg forgiveness before it poisoned us. But pride sealed my lips. "Just homesick," I murmured, leaning into her. She pulled me up, wrapping me in that scent of citrus and salt from her skin, and for a moment, I believed we could outrun it. The days blurred into a rhythm of sun-soaked denial. We drive the winding roads in our beat-up Fiat, windows down, her hand on my thigh as we chased hidden coves where the water turned turquoise against the ochre cliffs. In Conil de la Frontera, we wandered the whitewashed streets, her buying me a silver bracelet etched with waves, me sketching her profile against the Moorish arches. "You're my anchor," GIs, she'd say, kissing my temple, and I'd melt, forgetting the quiz, the likes, the lies we'd both been telling ourselves. But cracks spread. Her phone buzzed incessantly, clients from Wall Street, deadlines that bled into our evenings. One night, after she'd stepped out for a quick call, I scrolled her notifications out of paranoia, finding texts from an old colleague, Elena, miss our late nights. When are you back? Innocent, probably. But in my spiraling mind, it bloomed into betrayal, a secret affair she'd hidden behind boardroom excuses. I confronted her at midnight, voice shattering the silence. Who's Elena? Your real escape from this mess. Gianna's face crumpled, hurt flashing before anger. Jesus, Giselle, it's work. She's pitching a project. Why do you always assume the worst? We yelled until the neighbors' dogs howled, words like shrapnel, my accusations of emotional neglect, her defenses of providing for our future. I'm building something for us, she shouted, tears streaking her cheeks. And you? You're content drifting, waiting for inspiration to strike like it's a goddamn lightning bolt. I stormed out, barefoot into the cool night, the gravel biting my soles as I ran toward the cliff path. The sea roared below, indifferent, and I screamed into the wind, the quiz's echo mocking me, worst person. Who was it really? Her, for chasing dreams that left me behind. Or me, for resenting her light while dimming my own. We made up at sunrise, apologies whispered over strong espresso and fresh churros from the village bakery. I love you, she said, tracing my palm. More than any deal. I nodded, swallowing the doubt, but the seed was planted. Trust, once fractured, doesn't mend clean. 2 weeks later, the storm hit, not the literal one brewing over the Atlantic, but the kind that upends lives. We'd planned a quiet anniversary dinner at a seaside taverna in Zahara de los Aitons, the table overlooking dunes where flamingos waited at twilight. I was late, fumbling with a sketchbook gift I'd hidden in the car, when my phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. Senora Harper. This is Hospital de Cadiz. Your partner, Gianna Rossi, she's been in an accident. The world tilted. What? How? A car swerved on the N443. She's stable but conscious. Come quickly. I don't remember the drive, only the Fiat's tires screaming around bends, my heart a wild drum. Stable. Conscious. Words that meant nothing against the terror clawing my insides. The quiz flashed in my mind, my petty post, deleted but not erased. Had the universe heard? Was this karma's cruel punchline? The ER waiting room smelled of antiseptic and salt air drifting from the open windows, the fluorescent buzz a cruel contrast to the golden dusk outside. Nurses in blue scrubs hurried past, voices a murmur of Spanish urgency. I paced, phone dead in my pocket, replaying our last words. Pick up some olives on your way, she'd texted, light and loving. Now, she was behind those swinging doors, broken because of me, because I'd willed it with my anger. A doctor emerged, mid-40s with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Miss Harper. Gianna's asking for you. Minor fractures, concussion. The other driver was texting, lost control on the curve. Relief flooded, then guilt sharper than glass. I followed him down the hall, past beeping monitors and curtain bays, until he parted a curtain. There she was, pale against the starched sheets, and 4 dripping into her arm, a bandage wrapping her forehead. Her eyes, those deep brown pools, found mine and softened. Gee, eyes. Hey. I broke then, collapsing beside the bed, sobs racking me as I gripped her hand. I'm so sorry. God, Gianna, I did something stupid. That quiz, the post. I called you the worst, and now this. It's my fault. She squeezed weakly, confusion flickering. Quiz. What are you? But I couldn't stop, the dam bursting. I poured it out, the resentment, the deletion too late, the fear that I was losing her to a life I couldn't fit into. You're not the worst. You're everything. And I hate myself for making you feel less. Her thumb stroked my knuckles, steady even in pain. Shoo, amore. It's okay. Accidents happen. But you really think that about me? The vulnerability in her voice undid me further. We talked through the night, morphine-soft confessions weaving between vital checks. She admitted the Elena text stung because they'd been flirty once, pre-us, a ghost she'd buried but not fully exorcised. I chose you, she whispered. Every day. And I confessed my insecurities, how her success made me feel like a sketch half erased. Dawn crept in, painting the room in soft pinks, when she smiled faintly. We fix this. Together. No more quizzes or doubts. I nodded, kissing her knuckles, believing, for the first time in months, that we could. But betrayal has a way of lingering, like sea fog on the coast. Discharged 2 days later, Gianna leaned on me as we hobbled to the Fiat, her arm in a sling, ribs taped. The drive home was quiet, the radio humming flamenco tunes that felt too joyous. At the finca, I fussed over her, pillows, tea, the bracelet she'd given me glinting as I adjusted blankets. Rest, I said, but my mind raced to the post's digital ghost. Had anyone screenshotted it? Shared it in group chats? That evening, as she dozed, I slipped outside to the terrace, the horizon swallowing the sun. My phone buzzed, a notification from Instagram. A mutual friend from Brooklyn, saw this ages ago. You two okay? Looks rough. Attached, a screenshot of my deleted post, timestamped, with Gianna tagged. Heart plummeting, I scrolled comments. One stood out, from Elena's account, knew it. She's always been toxic. Glad you're seeing it, Giselle. The world narrowed to that word, toxic, echoing my own. Betrayal, not from Gianna, but from the faceless crowd I'd invited in. And Elena, stirring the pot from afar. I deleted the DM, hands shaking, but the damage seeped in. When Gianna woke, calling for me, I pasted on a smile, hiding the fracture anew. The following weeks were a delicate dance, our love a tightrope over the Atlantic's churn. Gianna healed slowly, crutches clicking on terracotta floors, her laughter strained when pain flared. I became her shadow, cooking paella from market-fresh saffron, reading her passages from Lorca's poetry to chase away the headaches. You're my nurse, my muse, she'd tease, pulling me close despite the twinge in her side. Those moments, tangled on the sofa with the windows open to jasmine breeze, felt like redemption. Her fingers tracing lazy patterns on my back, our breaths sinking like waves on the shore, we were us again, raw and real. Yet doubt whispered in the silences. Elena's comment haunted me, a digital splinter I couldn't extract. One afternoon, while Gianna napped, I drove to the nearest café in Viger de la Frontera, the hilltop town with its labyrinth of white alleys and bougainvillea-draped walls. Over a quart d'eau, I messaged Elena privately, "Hey. Saw your note on that old post. What's your deal?" Her reply came swift, "Just looking out for you, GIs. Gianna and I go way back. She's got a pattern, charms, then ghosts when it suits her." Pattern. The word ignited old insecurities. Back home, I rifled through Gianna's emails on her laptop, unlocked, trusting, finding threads with Elena from months ago, post our move. Miss our brainstorms, Gianna had written. And yeah, that rooftop view. Innocent. Or the flirtation I'd feared. My chest tightened, betrayal's vine twisting tighter. That night, as thunder rumbled over the straits, I confronted her again. Rain lashed the windows, mirroring the storm inside. Elena says you ghost people. Is that what I'm next for? When Spain loses its shine, do I get the fade out? Gianna sat up in bed, wincing, her eyes flashing. You went through my stuff. Giselle, that's not. It's trust. Or lack of it. Because if you're talking rooftops with her while I'm here pouring my soul. She cut me off, voice breaking. Rooftops. That was a work event, 6 months ago. Before we left. Elena's projecting, she's the one who couldn't handle boundaries. Tears welled, spilling over. You think I'd throw us away? After the accident, after everything? The fight escalated, words hurled like lightning, my accusations born of fear, her defenses laced with hurt. You're suffocating me with suspicion, she cried. I came here for you, left my career half behind, and this is what I get. I stormed to the guest room, slamming the door, the house groaning under the gale. Curled on the lumpy mattress, I wept for the girl who'd once believed in effortless love, not this labyrinth of maybes. Morning brought fragile truce. Over breakfast, burnt toast and apologies, she opened up, voice soft as mist. Elena's from my old life. Competitive, intense. We hooked up once, years ago, but it was fire without fuel. With you. It's home. She showed me the full thread, mundane memos amid the flirty echoes, then blocked Elena on the spot. No more ghosts. Just us. Relief washed over me, but the climax brewed unseen. A week later, we ventured to Tarifa, the wind capital where kitesurfers danced on gusts like liberated souls. The beach stretched endless, dunes whispering secrets, and for an afternoon, we were free, her arm linked in mine, laughter bubbling as we chased foam at the tide's edge. Remember Brooklyn? She said, sand gritting between our toes. That first kiss, rain-soaked and reckless. How could I forget? I replied, pulling her close, salt on her lips tasting like promise. We picnicked under a striped umbrella, sharing figs and manchego, her head on my lap as I sketched the horizon. In that bubble, betrayal felt like a distant thunder, not the bolt to come. It struck on the drive back, golden hour gilding the campos. My phone rang, our Brooklyn landlord, voice tight. Giselle. Bad news. Fire in the building last night. Your studio's gone, everything. The Fiat swerved as I processed, Gianna's hand steadying the wheel. What? How? Electrical, they think. Insurance will cover, but it's bad. My sketches, our photos, the life we'd paused but not erased, ashes. Grief hit like a wave, and I pulled over on a cliffside turnout, sobbing into the dashboard. Gianna held me, murmuring comforts, but her own phone buzzed then, a video call from her boss. Rossi. We need you back. Yesterday. The merger's tanking without you. She hesitated, screen glowing accusations. I can't. Not now. Listen, the voice crackled, this is your shot. Lead partner. But we need boots on the ground. The choice hung, invisible noose. I wiped my eyes, forcing calm. Go if you have to. I'll handle the insurance. Her gaze met mine, torn. GIs, no. We're in this. But the seed of resentment bloomed in her silence, the pull of ambition a siren's call. That night, back at the finca, she paced the terrace, wine glass trembling. It's not just a job. It's security, for us. After the fire, we need stability. And I don't count. I shot back, voice raw. My world's burning, literally, and you're itching to jet back to skyscrapers and spreadsheets. It's not like that. But doubt crept in, her eyes darting to the sea as if answers hid in the waves. We slept apart, the gulf widening. The breaking point came mid-October, leaves turning amber on the cork oaks. I'd buried myself in claims and rebuilds, virtual meetings with adjusters while Gianna worked remotely, calls stretching into all-nighters, her laughter filtering through the door, light and collegial. One evening, I overheard, yeah, Elena's on the team now. Sharp as ever. My blood chilled. Blocked? Or just professional necessity? I burst in, laptop askew on the bed. Elena's on the team. You said. She sighed, exhausted. It was last minute. She's the best for analytics. GIs, it's business. Business with benefits. The words escaped, venomous. Her face hardened, the betrayal mutual now, mine in snooping, hers in omission. Get out, she whispered, voice steel. If you can't trust me, leave. I packed that night, duffel stuffed with clothes and the sketchbook she'd inspired, tears blurring the moonlit path to the car. Driving east toward Seville, the radio crooned a ballad of lost loves, and I screamed at the stars, why couldn't we hold? Was it me, always waiting for the other shoe? Or her, forever chasing horizons that left me in dust? But fate, that capricious Andalusian dancer, wasn't done. 2 days in a Seville hostel, numb amid tapas bars and guitar strums, my phone rang, Gianna's name, a lifeline. GIs? It's bad. The doctors. They found something during the accident checkup. A lump. In my breast. The world stopped, the call dropping to static as I gripped the receiver. Lump. The word echoed, terror absolute. I was on the road back within the hour, the Fiat devouring miles, heart a frantic bird. Betrayal paled against this, life's raw underbelly, demanding we face what we'd fled. Arriving at the finca near midnight, she met me at the door, frail and oversized sweats, eyes hollow. We collapsed into each other, no words needed, just the press of bodies affirming, still here. The next dawn, we drove to the specialist in Cadiz, her hand clammy in mine, the clinic's white walls a sterile echo of the ER. Waiting, we shared a vending machine coffee, her confessing the fear that had gnawed since the ultrasound. I didn't want to worry you. Not after the fight. Fool, I murmured, kissing her temple. We're stronger worried. The diagnosis landed like a stone, stage 1, treatable with surgery and chemo. Relief mingled with dread, but in her grip, I found resolve. We'll fight, she said, fierce. Together. Yet conflict simmered. As treatment loomed, her flying to Barcelona for the procedure, me staying to tie up Spain, I uncovered the full betrayal. Sorting her emails for medical proxies, I found it, a resignation letter, drafted weeks ago, post-accident. Pursuing personal growth abroad, it read. And CC to Elena. Heart-shattering, I confronted her in the garden, pomegranate splitting ripe underfoot. You're leaving. For what, her? Some growth that erases us. She paled, then deflated. No. God, no. It's for treatment, a clinic in Italy, closer to family. Elena. She offered a reference, nothing more. I was going to tell you. Lies or half-truths? The air thickened, our voices rising over the coo of doves. You always choose ambition over us. I cried. Even now, when it's life or it's survival, she roared back, then softened, tears carving paths. For us. To come back whole. The climax crested there, under the relentless sun, as we stripped bare, my abandonment issues from a mother who'd bolted young, her fear of vulnerability from a father lost to cancer. Betrayal wasn't Elena or quizzes, it was our unhealed wounds, lashing out. We clung then, sobbing, vowing surgery first, truth second. Barcelona's oncology ward was a world apart from our sun-drenched idyll, cool marble halls humming with quiet efficiency, the scent of eucalyptus drifting from rooftop gardens. I flew up with her, the Fiat traded for a rattling Ryanair jet, my sketchpad a talisman in my carry-on. Gianna's surgery was swift, a lumpectomy under bright lights, emerging groggy but grinning faintly. Tumors out. Clean margins, the surgeon reported, her accent crisp Catalan. We celebrated with hospital jello and stolen kisses, her hand in mine a vow renewed. Chemo followed in waves, back in Cadiz for the milder sessions at a coastal clinic overlooking the bay. She'd sit in the recliner, for dripping, bald head wrapped in silk scarves I'd tie with flourish, emerald for hope, crimson for fire. I'd read to her from smuggled novels, our favorites, Audre Lorde's essays on love's radical edges, the way two women could rebuild worlds from ruins. We're our own revolution, she'd murmur, eyes fluttering shut, and I'd believe it, tracing the faint scar on her collarbone like a map to our future. But humanism demands shadows with light. The treatments drained her, nausea curling her into fetal positions, nights where fevered dreams had her calling for ghosts, her father, Elena, even me in accusatory tones. I'd hold her through it, whispering affirmations, but resentment flickered. My freelance gigs dried up amid vigils, the fire's insurance a pittance against rebuild costs. Friends back home sent care packages, New York bagels, queer-lit zines, but their messages stung. How's the escape treating you? Escape. It felt like siege. One stormy November eve, as rain sheeted the clinic windows, the other shoe dropped. Gianna's phone chimed during a lull, her asleep beside me. I glanced, habit, curse, and froze. A text from Elena, heard about the surgery. Strong as ever. Drinks when you're back. For old-time strategies. Strategies. The word reeked of subtext, and attached, a photo of a Brooklyn skyline, the rooftop bar where they'd once tangled, Prius. Betrayal's final twist. I woke her gently, phone thrust forward. Explain this. Now. Her eyes widened, then closed in defeat. Gee, eyes. It's nothing. She's reaching out, post-diagnosis. Networking, maybe closure. Closure over Cosmos. With a selfie from our haunt. My voice cracked, the room spinning. Nurses glanced our way, but we were a private tempest. You've been texting her through all this. While I'm here, breaking. She sat up, wincing, fire in her gaze. Not like that. She's been supportive, sent articles on trials, connected me to a specialist. But yes, I responded. Because forgiveness isn't erasure, it's moving on. Moving on to what? Us, or her shadow? The argument spilled, hushed but vicious, chemo's fog sharpening her edges. You think I don't see it? The way you light up at her name, like she's the ambition I can't give. And you? She countered, tears hot. Always the victim, sketching tragedies while I fight for tomorrow. That quiz wasn't a joke, gee eyes, it was your truth leaking out. The words landed like the scalpel slice, reopening every wound. I fled the clinic, bursting into the downpour, Cadiz streets slick and unforgiving. Lightning forked over the cathedral spires as I wandered, soaked to bone, past tapas dens shuttered early and gypsy murals weeping color. Why did love demand such excavation? Was it worth the blood? Hours later, shivering in a plaza bench, my phone buzzed, Gianna, come home. Please. I did, cab dropping me at the finca where lights blazed like beacons. She waited in the living room, bundled in a blanket, Elena's number blocked anew on the coffee table. I ended it, she said simply. All of it. The job, the doubts. I'm staying, for treatment, for us. If you'll have me. I sank beside her, exhaustion a tide. It's not about having. It's trusting you'll stay. We talked till dawn, rain easing to patter, confessions a cleansing flood. She admitted Elena's pull, an echo of her old self, untethered and fierce, but chose the woman who'd held her hand through scalpels and sickness. I owned my poisons, the quiz a cry for attention, my snooping a fear of loss. We're both messes, I laughed wetly. Beautiful, American messes in Spanish exile. The humanistic turn came gradual, like the Straits' tides. Chemo waned by December, her hair a soft fuzz. We celebrated with a buzz-cut party, me wielding clippers on the terrace, laughter echoing as gulls wheeled overhead. We rebuilt remotely. I sold digital prints of our coast, sunsets in watercolor fury. She consulted freelance, hours flexible around infusions. The fire's ashes birthed a pop-up studio in Brooklyn plans, a shared space for queer artists, her funding it with savings. Betrayal scar faded, not gone but honored. One crisp January morn, we hiked the cliffs, her stride steady, my arm looped in hers. At the overlook, waves crashing hymns below, she knelt, pulling a ring from her pocket, simple gold band, etched with waves and olive leaves. Marry me, Giselle Harper. Not despite the storms, but because of them. Tears blurred the horizon, joy sharp as salt. Yes, I breathed, pulling her up for a kiss that tasted of forever, dramatic, flawed, profoundly ours. No quizzes, no breakdowns, just two women, hands clasped, facing the vast, forgiving sea. Back in New York by spring, the wedding was small, rooftop affair, rain held off by sheer will, friends toasting under string lights. Gianna in a linen suit, me in flowing white, vows exchanged with Lorca's words, I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees. Elena sent a card, apology, unsigned, tossed unopened into the Hudson. Years on, our studio thrives, walls alive with sketches of Spanish cliffs and Brooklyn grit. Gianna's cancer a footnote, survivor's fire fueling her mentorships for LGBTQ+ youth. Me. I illustrate memoirs now, stories of love's quiet rebellions. We argue still, over takeout or travel, but entangled, breath synced. That quiz. A relic, laughed over wine. Worst person, I tease, but my favorite plot twist. And in her eyes, brown depths endless as the Atlantic, I see it, redemption not in perfection, but persistence. Human, messy, eternally ours.